Well, hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Blemished. I'm back for another episode. Are y'all proud of me? Because literally I'm so proud of me right now, just so y'all know. The Lord is definitely, look at him, working in me, doing the things, keeping me on the straight and narrow. He's doing it, y'all. He is doing it. And I am definitely here for it. So today's episode is going to be a little bit different because normally I feel like what Blemished is supposed to be is me sharing my testimony, which this is going to be me sharing my testimony, but in a little bit different way because I'm going to kind of be teaching and talking through how the Lord has used the means of grace in order to sanctify me and help me throughout my walk and whatnot. So if y'all caught last episode, you know that the Lord kind of put me on the bench. He took me out of the game for a little bit, told me, you need to chill out for a second and really get your life together and really start seeking me again and truly do it wholeheartedly and really give it your all and not give up. So if you haven't seen that episode, I'm doing a shameless plug right now and telling you to go watch that episode first, and then this episode may make a little bit more sense. Here's the thing. The means of grace are at our disposal in the Christian walk at all times. Do we always take the free gift that we are given? Not very often. And if you don't know what the means of grace are, the means of grace are literally Acts 2:42. If you're not familiar with that passage, I'm about to read it right now. It is in the book of Acts, the 2nd chapter, the 42nd verse, and it is so beneficial to the Christian walk. It is how I am able to do the things that I'm able to do. And this is probably going to be like a little 3-part mini series that I'm going to do. But today I'm going to talk specifically about discipline. I was hesitant to put the word discipline because I think sometimes we can have a backwards view of it, myself included, because when you hear the word discipline, I think some people hear it and think like a spanking, a whooping, something like that. And that isn't what discipline is. Discipline is correction. It's turning you from where you were to where you need to go, right? It's not, discipline is also being strict, being fervent in doing the thing. It is not wavering from that. It is creating a habit, essentially. But it is very necessary if you're going to be walking with the Lord to have discipline, whether that is given discipline or whether that is learned discipline or whether that is you walking in discipline. So I'm going to read Acts 2:42 really quick, and then we're going to kind of get into the text a little bit. And I'm also going to explain what I mean by how the means of grace, how discipline has helped me so far in my walk and is continuing to help me right now. All right, so Acts 2:42 says, they were continually devoting themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, to the breaking of bread, and to prayer. All right, so when we first look at this text, it clearly says that they were continually devoting themselves. So in order to continually devote yourself to something, you have to do it over and over and over, right? That's a continuation. There's not a time when walking with the Lord where you go, you know what, I need to cut it off today. From here on out, I'm good to go. I think a lot of times with me, I thought, and that's kind of what last video was about, I thought that I had overcame a lot of things and the Lord was just showing me, you're not there yet. Nor do I need to think that I'm going to be at a place of just completeness, right? It may be a thing that I struggle with for the rest of my life here on earth. And I need to be content in that, and I need to be okay with that, but also continually working at that thing. I can't just stay in my seat and go, well, this is who I am and I refuse to change. No, it's not that. It's understanding that it does take discipline. It does take working on that thing, right? No different than if you're working out. You're not going to get results from working out one time. You got to continue to do it in order to see results. And so that's the same thing. So for me personally, what I realized about myself and my walk is that I would read when I felt like it. And I was kind of not saying like I don't know my word, but it was more like, okay, I got it in today, that's enough. I didn't ponder on it. I didn't meditate on the word, which means I literally didn't think about what the Lord may be teaching me. I wasn't asking him, Lord, what is it that you're wanting me to know? Whether that's more about him or more, not that the Bible is about me by any means, but it is a fact that we can apply the things that the Lord has said in his word to our lives. And so it's not a matter of, Lord, what were you, me. It was more just in general, like I would read it and say I read it and then not really think about it anymore, or how the Lord may have been using his word to teach me a lesson or to teach me something about myself that I wasn't essentially, like, that was maybe a sin nature or, an area of my life that I needed to be working on. But because I wasn't asking him, he wasn't able to do a work in me, because if you're not asking questions, you don't, essentially, I don't know the answers, So, I would just read the word, or maybe I would just pray for a few minutes and go, okay, that's good enough, but not really seeking him, not really asking him, how does this affect you, Lord? How do you feel about this? What do you think about my YouTube channel? What do you think about the people that I'm surrounding myself with? What do you feel about my marriage? Not specifically asking him to search my heart. I wasn't asking him. I was just like, okay, you're good, I'm good. We spent a little time together. Da, 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 da. But over time, because I won't say like I know the Bible by any means. I know the scriptures that are in here. I know the word. I know the things, some of the word, but am I a biblical scholar? Absolutely not. Do I know the Bible front and back? Absolutely not. You could probably say some things to me and I could go, oh, I know that's in scripture. I guess I knew or know enough to sustain a pretty biblical conversation, but knowledge and wisdom are not the same thing, right? I think we think, oh, somebody's saying all these very intelligent things, they must know the Lord. But at the end of the day, Satan knew the Lord. Okay? He knew him. But did he know him? Did he trust in him? Did he believe in him? No. But he knew him. He was aware, right? So I was aware, and I was even aware of my sin for the most part. The problem is I was so aware of it's almost like, it's so crazy, but it's almost like I was so aware of my sin that I was tired of confessing it. I was tired of going back in the loop over and over and over again. I wanted to break free from the cycle, but I didn't want to put the work in to break free from the cycle. And so that just invoked shame in me and insecurity that, oh my goodness, I can't fight this. I can't do this. I'm not good enough. Not that I'm not good enough, because I know I'm not good enough, but it was more like, Lord, I know what your word says. I'm not applying it as is. Why should I continue to just dig deep and read and do all of these things if I'm not actually going to do any of these things. And so I was just slowly taking myself away from the word. I would still read, at church or something like that, and I would get excited, but I wasn't having a discipline of, I'm gonna read the word. And so a few months ago, probably about a month or so ago, I really was like, you know what? I'm sick of myself. I am so sick of this. I'm sick of saying I'm gonna do something and I don't do it. And so I have been setting out I'm not saying I'm sitting here specifically like just studying or any of that or reading something extra specific, but really what started one of the trajectories of it was a friend of mine is hosting a Bible study, and we are in the book of Ephesians. And so I started reading it, and there's also a book that corresponds with the actual Bible study. And it's telling you, read this over and over and over. This one chapter of Ephesians. And it says, read it in different translations. And I'm like, okay, I like that, right? And it was that in which propelled me to go, oh my goodness, I need to be reading every day. Because as I was reading through the first day, I was like, okay, cool. There's so many things that are sticking out to me and I've read the book of Ephesians, but it was like, oh my goodness, the words were just jumping off the page at me. And then the next day, something else. And I'm reading the same chapter. And so that's what the Lord, and it's crazy because he tells you that this is living and active, and it's sharper than a two-edged sword. Like, at the same time, I wanted to run away from it because the enemy had tricked me. Not tricked me, because I'm my own. But the enemy was whispering to me, you know this stuff. And it was so, and that's the thing about, this is the thing about the enemy. It's not like he was like, in my face. He was just very subtle, like, you know this stuff, don't you? Wow. I can't believe you know this stuff, but yet you just keep sinning. Probably you should not read those things because they're obviously not helping you. And it was just these subtle little things. And so, like I said, it just created shame in me to where I was like, you know what? Let me just pull back. And so at the same time, what's crazy is at the same time, I could feel the Holy Spirit prompting me, go read your word. Just do it. And at the same time, I was like, no, because I have X, Y, and Z to do, or I don't have enough time, or yeah, it might make me feel better for a second, but then I'm going to sin again and I'm going to feel, and so it almost felt better to just be like, well, I'm sinning and I know why I'm sinning and I'm just not reading. That's why I'm sinning, instead of actually correcting and having a discipline. And so part of the means of grace is the Lord giving us his word. This is how we turn from darkness to light. This is how we get out of that. And the only way, you have to make that conscious decision and choice to open his word daily. Now, me specifically, I find that the morning time is the best adventure for me because I'm a morning person. I get my little cup of coffee, I get my little blanket, and I sit there with the Lord, and my discipline may look different daily, right? But it's discipline. So discipline doesn't have to look exactly the same. It doesn't have to be rigid. It doesn't have to be this or that. I think Discipline is you doing it continually. So whatever that looks like, as long as you are doing it continually with a heart that has humility, with a heart that is saying, okay, I understand I need this. This isn't a want. This isn't a, I kind of need it. No, this is, I need this. I need you. I need your word. I need it to saturate my heart because my heart is not good. I am not okay. And it could be for many reasons. Maybe you struggle with depression. Maybe you struggle with pride like I do. I mean, it could be anything, just arrogance, all of it could be any of those things. But one thing I am realizing is that the more I've been in the Lord's word, the more I desire it. It has become what I want, what I desire again. And that's where I wanted to be back at. I wanted to desire to read his word. I wanted to get back at that space. And the thing of it is I'm not going to lie to y'all. For a time period too, before when I was going through that season of like I'm not going to read and it was because I was attaching emotion and feelings to the word, like as in, I don't feel anything like I used to, blah, 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 blah. And that was not fair. First off, that wasn't even fair to myself to do that. Because my emotions and my daily feelings change all the time. All the time. Some days I just wake up and I'm in a bad mood. Some days I go to bed and I'm just like, you know what I mean? Like I'm a woman. I mean, men go through the same thing, but it's a little bit different. I said all that to say discipline is important. And if without discipline, I don't think you're going to have results. And so not that we need to go to God to have like results as in I'm using him as a genie, but in this case, I honestly don't know if the Lord minds if we use him in this way, as long as our heart posture is for him and that we're doing it out of love, which he's providing for us. So essentially, I would say he's cool with it, right? I get my little cup of coffee. I get my blanket in the morning. It's quiet before everybody's awake. I go in to the living room. I sit there and I open the word, or I pray. I've been prayer journaling, I guess, really. So writing out my prayers. And some days I'm just praying. Some days I'm watching a sermon, or some days I'm just reading, or I'm studying. I really day to day. But what I do know is I need the discipline of the Lord. I need to be consciously surrounding my heart and my mind and my ears and my thoughts around the Lord. I need to acknowledge him and not go, okay, well, Lord, when I have time for you, then I'll get to you. For now, I would love for you to bless me, do this, do that, and help me have a good day. But I'm also not ever going to talk to you about that. I'm never going to ask you how to have a good day. I'm just going to expect it. And I don't know about y'all, but as a wife, for my husband to have an expectation of me without ever talking to me about it doesn't work for me. And I don't know who it would work for. Having a list of expectations for someone when you don't have any intentions of communicating those expectations, but hoping, which the Lord can read our minds, I'm not saying that, but still, he wants us to go to him and talk to him about it and have a heart that is positioned, because at the end of the day, some of the things that we're asking for may not even be for us. And so we're sitting there thinking about these things and pondering on this, that, and the other and saying, Lord, let us have a good day, when the Lord's trying to teach me something. The Lord is trying to show me, hey, I could give you the best day ever, but it's through your trials and tribulations that you're going to learn who I am too. It's through your unsuccessful moments that you're going to learn who I am, because you're going to come to me and continuously seek me. And so in Acts 2:42, we see there that the first means of grace is continually seeking and devoting to the teachings. We need to be taught. This is the purpose of discipleship. This is the reason that we need really strong women and men in the faith to step up and do the hard thing and be that for somebody, be that accountability, be that person. And the Lord gives us His word. If we have no one else, if we have nothing else, we can't have those as excuses. We do have His word, and He is the best teacher, and He will use whatever means necessary in order to teach us. And He will use our failures. He will use our unsuccessful behavior. He will use it all, because He doesn't waste anything. And I am so grateful for that. And I'm grateful for His discipline, His correction, that He doesn't want to just leave me in the state that I was in, but He wants to show me, He wants to teach me, He wants to love on me, because He does like me. His affection is for me, and my affection then just grows stronger for Him. And it's just this continual, infinite circle of love, except He gets to do it perfectly for me. So whatever discipline looks like for you, do the thing. Maybe discipline is you calling a sister in Christ and be like, hey, I need you to read with me because I need you to hold me accountable. I'm terrible at getting up in the mornings, but I do want to get up in the mornings. Maybe it's reading with your kids. When I started reading with my children, I was like, I'm getting the word in, right? And I'm getting to disciple at the same time. So it was like a 2-for-1 deal. Whatever means necessary, get the word in. Well, y'all, that's going to be it for today's episode, but I am going to make a couple more little episodes out of this episode. So be looking forward to that. And we are going to continue to talk about the means of grace and the importance of the means of grace. So I will see y'all in the next episode. God bless y'all, and go and be a light out there. If you enjoyed this episode of Blemished, then please consider subscribing to my channel by hitting this button right here. If you would like to watch another episode of Blemished, then you can click the playlist right here.